remember my childhood through injuries rather than happy vacation memories.
I missed a lot of school, some years up to 100 days.
Senior year of high school, I vividly remember I had an 8-month period.
I wake up in the middle of the night, my whole pillow sheet is just soaked with blood.
It is very frustrating to have a disorder that we had never heard about or knew was in our family.
This is a much, much more prevalent disease than you realize. Up to 1% of the nation is diagnosed with this disorder.
My daughter was diagnosed when she woke up with bruises on her legs and her feet when she was 6 weeks old. One of the ways von Willebrand is diagnosed is to actually test the parents, and I found out that I have it as well. It was shocking. We were absolutely devastated.
I just remember very long times in the hospital. I was bedridden for 3 to 4 days at a time. I remember a lot of surgeries. I remember throwing up blood.
One of the things that is different with von Willebrand's disease from other bleeding disorders is bleeding from your nose and your mouth and from having your period. In first grade, I had a very bad injury where I was playing a game and I fell backwards, and I ended up for 2 months bleeding in my head.
I grew up having some joint bleeds and muscle bleeds and mouth bleeds, and I remember going to the ER because with bleeding disorders, sometimes the bleeding can get out of control pretty fast.
When I started my period, it lasted for 2 months. It was bleeding every single day. I'm a swimmer. I was 11 years old. That is a hard situation to deal with. I just was like, I just want to stop bleeding. I just want to swim again.
I used to get these really big 2-day bloody noses that would happen in the middle of the night, and I would just wake up covered in blood. All through elementary, middle, and high school, I had regular nosebleeds and bruising. I had joint bleeds and muscle bleeds.
I just couldn't do basic activities like going on a bike with my friends, sledding with my friends, and I think ultimately that led to a sense of isolation, but also embarrassment. Like, you know, as a kid, the number one thing you want is to just fit in. And when you have both bleeds that'll take you out of class, or you can't do the same social activities that other kids are doing, it's pretty hard to ignore that. I started experiencing some symptoms, particularly from anxiety early on, to the point where, you know, I had to seek some pretty serious professional help at the time and had thoughts of suicide.
I know I was different. In preschool, I had to wear a helmet and knee pads just in case I fell. I was very anxious and sad and worried all the time.
My bleeding just got worse and worse, and it never stopped to the point where I was anemic in 7th grade. And oftentimes I try to downplay my symptoms and say, oh, maybe I do need to suck it up and deal with it and put a smile on my face and act like everything is okay, even though it's not.
All my pediatricians and PCPs had a very limited knowledge of von Willebrand's. They didn't know anything at all about treatments.
I still take the same treatment that I was prescribed in 1997, and there haven't been many new treatments.
I know people are frustrated, you know, I know people are waiting for something new because it's not a one size fits all. Some of these drugs don't work for some reason.
The worst part is that there just isn't really any choices, that there's not more options for treatments.
I'm on what's called prophylaxis, which means that I take a treatment a certain amount of days a week. I'm every other day right now.
It is really, really difficult to keep infusing that much.
It does require you to have really good veins, and they can't find a good vein on me. Seeing all of your peers being able to self-infuse and you still not being able to, I've cried.
I've been waiting my whole life, 60 years, to get better treatments, to have more options for my treatments. I'd really like to see that change, and I'd like to be able to give my grandchildren a different option in life.